year long. It's the end of the second full week in June, and actually it's almost the end of the third. We have one more week to go and then some extra few days, and we're into July. It'll be the 4th of July before you know it. And then Halloween with Brad Steiger. Lots of things coming up very fast. If you have visited Sightings.com, great. You'll know that it is an unusual destination full of all kinds of information that you'll find nowhere else, eclectic and common, and certainly information that will make you think, because it comes from all around the world 24 hours a day. Headline news, featured stories about UFOs, ETs, all kinds of things, science and technology. It's turning into quite a sight, and we thank you for the kind email. If you haven't been there, by all means, go and take a look and read and enjoy some of the stories. There certainly are a ton of them. Brian Vike is our, well, he is it. He is our investigator. He is the man who is really the driving force behind this, and we're happy to spend time with him once a month. We have special guests coming up in a few minutes as well. Okay, welcome back. Jeff Rense and Brian Vike. It is Sightings.com night, and we have a special guest to tell a story tonight that is really going to be amazing. Brian, why don't you introduce this young man to us, if you would?
You bet, yeah. Yeah, I have, I guess it's been over the years, this gentleman has been writing to me, and he's sent some reports on what's been going on back in Manitoba. Recently, he sent me a very large story, his story, on UFO, ET, Men in Black, and these are his encounters, and he put this report together, and it's fascinating, and I believe we're going to have a wonderful guest here. He's a friend, I do consider him a friend, so I'd like to welcome you, Todd, to the show, and to Jeff's show here.
Hi, Brian.
Todd.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate being offered the opportunity to come on tonight, and hi, Jeff. It's great to meet you, too.
Hi, Todd. Thank you very much. The check is in the mail, so don't worry.
It's as Brian was saying, it's been years that he and I have been conversing through emails, and that's really been how we've been talking back and forth. And this is really the first time I verbally had the opportunity to say hi to him. So I feel very happy to be able to be on the show with both you guys. This is a real honor for me. Thank you.
That's nice. Isn't that nice when you can actually hear a voice after you've been writing to someone for a long time like you have and get to talk to them?
Yeah, it's funny, Jeff. I don't know why we didn't speak. There's no reason why. It's just that, I don't know, maybe we just getting around to it, because I know I was calling people all over the world, actually. So I'm glad, and it's nice to hear his voice, and sure happy you got on with us tonight, Todd, because it is an important and amazing story.
Very good. All right, Todd, what kind of a childhood did you have? Let's start out there at the beginning. Were you a normal kid with unusual things happening to you, or were you an abnormal kid with normal things happening to you?
I tried to be normal, I guess, and tried to fit in with all the kids. I was never really well received. I was always not good with kids. We'll put it that way. I was more a loner than anything, and always the first to be picked on and last to be picked for a team sort of thing. And my years going through, I had experienced a lot of weird things that I thought were normal because, growing up and first time through everything,
sure.
You didn't know what was
really
kids
didn't know, of course.
What was.
That's
Sorry?
supposed to be what childhood is about. You have no real preconceptions, and you're open to things, and because children are open to things, many more things manifest themselves to them. What are some of the things that happened to you that you now realize were a little unusual, and what age were you?
Well, to begin with, things started for me at a very early age. I was only months old when I was outside with my parents, and I would see these things in the sky, and what they were, I still don't know. I've seen various pictures on the internet of things that have been photographed in the sky, and they almost look lifelike, almost like a giant cell of some sort or something, but morphing, different colors, different shapes, different sizes.
Moving around?
Expand or contract.
So they'd move around?
Oh, yeah. They'd be in the sky for, a long time. It wasn't often that I'd see them, but, that was really the first thing that I picked up on when I was younger. I already knew what clouds were. We're talking, right, only months old, and I knew what clouds were and birds, and a whale. You know, I could picture them. I knew what they were when they were said to me. So I was aware at that sense, you know what I mean? But as things continued on in my life and I continued growing up and experiencing things, I sort of went into a paranormal sort of thing where I'd have dreams that would actually happen. I'd be able to see visions of the future, just small things, nothing major by any sort, but it would, you know, and it struck me as strange. Eventually I started to experience ghosts and such, but I don't really want to lead off away from why I'm here right now, because it's about UFOs and extraterrestrials, and that's really the only reason.
But let me say something about, if I might, and I'm sure Brian knows the name. Maybe, have you come across the name Trevor James Constable before? Trevor James Constable would be well worth you looking up. He is a brilliant man who in the 1950s and 60s used infrared film, 8mm film, to actually prove that there were large living things in our atmosphere that we couldn't see because they were in the infrared light spectrum. Now, I'm just suggesting this to you, that maybe as a child you had an ability to see infrared in that spectrum, and maybe you were seeing some of these things. He identified 8 or 10 different types of them, and they live there. Like fish in the sea, there are things living in the air. And if you think about it, it's not all that illogical. But his name is Trevor James Constable.
Okay, we'll have to check that out for sure. I mean, when I was growing up and seeing these things, my parents were oblivious to it. They never once mentioned anything about it to me, as, you know, how they would point out everything to me, you know, and give it a name. So I always found that strange.
Yeah. Well, that is. It is. Very good. Okay, go ahead. By the way, you say your parents didn't see them. Now you know that if in fact you were seeing things that are up there, virtually no one does. It took infrared film to prove them, and Trevor has still pictures, and he's been on the program over the years. I need to get him back on.
I really have to check that out for sure. I've never heard of him or that.
Yep. Go ahead, Ben, with your story. So it sounded like you had great parents. At least that part of it was good.
Oh, for sure. They're very loving, very caring, and they give 200%, and they're still both around. So, and I love them very much. I was adopted, and they were my adopted parents, but
they're your parents.
They've always been my real parents in my heart. You know.
Forget the biology bit; they're your parents. That's what counts.
Exactly.
It's on a whole different. Give them an extra hug the next time you see them.
Oh, I try to, for sure.
Good. All right. Okay, we'll be right back.
Okay, if we can
hang on,
jump
Todd.
ahead a little bit.
Yeah, hold on. We're going to jump ahead, but we have to jump into a little commercial here first, Todd. So stand by if you would, please. This is really interesting, Brian. Obviously, a great story ahead, and already heard some interesting things. We should get Trevor on this program. Maybe we'll do that one time.
Be interesting.
Okay, be right back. Okay, let's get back to business. And the business is hearing a story from a young man that is going to be quite far-reaching in what it covers. All right, go ahead, Todd, please.
Hi, thank you. Okay, I'll just kind of paint the scene for you right now. It's in the late 1970s. I'm 11 years old, so I'm not really that young of a man, and I'm struggling through school, elementary school. A lot of it just doesn't make sense to me, and I'm sure that I'm just being pushed through the grades just to get out of the teacher's hairs. Anyway,
what was it that didn't make sense? Todd, excuse me.
Yes?
What was it that didn't make sense to you? Was it the academic part? Was it the socialization part?